doing it.
Welcome to MLS Monday by Scarves and Spikes, where we are one big happy family, but not all families were happy this weekend. We're talking about La Familia, Inter Miami supporter group collective, protesting at Inter Miami's game this weekend. But we also had some other news, coaching changes, sporting director changes, and then we had Sam Sarver shotgunning a beer. Guys, we got a lot to talk about. Tommy was already starting to talk during the intro, which is great. He's excited. How are y'all doing today?
I'm good. I just got to say really quick, I've had a busy weekend, right? So I was not able to really keep track of the games as they were going on and all the drama and everything else, coaching changes. The one thing that I did see this weekend, if this tells you anything, was Sam Sarver shotgunning a beer. That was the one thing that kept popping up every time I would open Twitter for all of 30 seconds. I'm like, you know what, dude? Instant legend. Good for him.
Well, he's not going to get fined or anything for like that.
Yeah.
Like because you see around like different leagues, like beyond, soccer, like in the NFL, they love finding players for doing like celebrations. And like some of them, obviously, like you see guys like out there with like a machine gun, like acting like they're shooting up the crowd. Like, no, like those aren't good. Those are, but like this is fun. Like, absolutely. I saw someone tweet that they said that should be on the front of every MLS like video, like promoting the league throughout the World Cup. That would be fantastic. Absolutely.
100%.
And play Stone Cold's music while he's doing it. It'd be awesome.
I mean, this is MLS heritage now, right? Like you don't see this anywhere else. And I personally, I think that's awesome. I also think those moments, I mean, obviously Dallas and San Jose, I think they're far from being a rivalry, but those are the moments that rivalries are built off of. Like a guy scoring the game winner and then going and just taking a beer that one of the opposing fans tossed onto the pitch and shotgunning it. That's legendary, man.
I'm here for
now,
it.
hopefully he's of age. If they do that, hopefully they are over.
He's 23.
Because I know with Atlanta, you're not allowed to. They weren't allowed to get the Heineken man of the match because they weren't over. They weren't allowed to drink. So stupid. So stupid.
It would be amazing now if Sam, from now on, he told one of the assistants, like one of the photographers or something, like from now on, I just need one cold beer at the end line so that if I do score, I've got one right there ready to go. This is instantly like my celebration.
Sam Modelo Sarver, that's his name now, who went and picked up Modelos after the game and posted about it on Instagram. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. We got some stuff to talk about. We've got some big stuff to talk about down in Miami. Other than Miami getting their first win in new stadium after 5 attempts, congratulations, 5th time's the charm. There was a little bit of controversy and a little bit of interesting stuff that happened at that game. So I didn't know this was happening until like right after the game kicked off, and I saw, I think I was on Twitter or something. People were saying like, oh yeah, Inter Miami supporters are protesting in this game. And I'm like, okay, so what are they protesting? Turns out that the fans felt they weren't being appreciated or acknowledged by the fans because in the past few games, their first 4 home games at new stadium, the team didn't win. The last home game was a loss against rival Orlando City, a frustrating loss, and the players didn't go and do their lap around the stadium and acknowledge the fans and say hi to them, which that is a kind of a custom in soccer, or at least here in MLS it is, for teams to go and show appreciation for the fans that show up. They weren't doing that. The fans felt that was disrespectful, that they weren't being acknowledged. And so for 85 minutes of last night's match, Inter Miami versus Portland, La Familia, Inter Miami fans stood silent. There were no drums. There were no flags. There were no chants. It was just silent. You could hear the Portland Timbers visiting supporters chanting over all of that. You could hear that inside the stadium, but you didn't hear Inter Miami's fans chanting. So the story only goes a little bit further, guys. With Miami winning 2-0 in that game, the fans start chanting a modified version of a chant known in Argentina and in South America as jugadores, which translates to players. Their chant, the way they modified it, and apparently they practiced it outside the stadium before the game, but the way they chanted it, they modified the lyrics so that it was like, players, respect your fans, say hi to us, acknowledge us. We don't ask because we don't ask for anything. Sounds like a completely reasonable thing to say. It's okay, fine, whatever. The problem is the context of this particular chant. If you are not familiar with South American soccer or soccer in Argentina, this chant, it essentially, the original one, essentially tells the players that they're useless. It's chanted when the team is doing horribly, when they're losing, when the fans are just frustrated with the players, and it basically says like, players, go F yourselves. See if you lay an egg because you're not doing anything. That's basically what it translates to in English. Uh, and so you can imagine Messi's confusion when uh, they're winning 2-0, and he hears this particular chant ringing throughout the stadium, and he's like, what the? Like you could see real time his reaction because he's kind of like staring at the fans like what? we're winning. And then he kind of does this, which is kind of like the what's going on, right? That kind of gesture. Um, but later on in the game, he does, I guess, realize that they're not actually chanting the original chant. He realizes what they're saying, and he does go and applauds them and acknowledges them and waves. Rodrigo de Paul also, during a corner kick at the end of the game, he goes up to the fans, he shows them the badge and kind of gestures to them, telling them like, "This is what we all play for," and then gets the crowd going. So in the end, they resolve a little bit of that confusion, but it made for some pretty interesting kind of viral moments over the weekend. Uh, did y'all saw some of this? I imagine y'all have some opinions about this whole issue. Tommy, let's start with you, man. What are your thoughts about all of this craziness?
Well, I heard someone say, and I guess you really can't tell. Someone said that he was actually pointing at the star and not the badge, which would make that even it would be even crazier if that was true. You know, when I originally read about it, right when the game started, probably at the same time as you did, I rolled my eyes at first, and then thought about it a little bit more of kind of, well, they did this before they went into this new stadium. So they did it, and then all of a sudden they stop. And I was like, well, I know they drew that first game there. So I went back and had to look at like what their record was. And what it was, 3 draws and then the embarrassing loss to Orlando. I get the Orlando game, and I think 2 of those 3 draws, I think they had to come back and tie it late. I guess I don't understand what their thought process is on why to stop that, because, it's a small thing. It's a small thing, but, like, there's teams out there that have traditions that they do that. Yeah, Minnesota, Wonderwall, go over there, that's cool. The Crew, Fallen in Love with Crew, they sing that song after every game. There's traditions there that are fun. Now, I know this isn't like a special tradition or anything, they just walk around and clap the fans, but, like, I think of a lot of things now more than ever as, like, if as a parent, and Tyler, Henry, luckily you're not a parent at the moment, so you're good there, but, like, I think of those moments and, like, if I'm, like, if I'm there with my kids and, like, Messi's coming over and, like, clapping there, like, I would think that would be an absolute amazing moment for my kid to see it and to experience it and say that they did it. Take it back to just like a total thing. I'm not a kid, but like I remember my first MLS game in Columbus. The place was empty, but I was in the away supporter section with everyone, and we were singing and dancing the whole game. And then Brad Guzan, and which every game that I've a road game that I've ever attended, Brad Guzan would walk over, no matter if it was a 5-1 loss in Columbus on Star Wars night or whatever it was. He would go over and just salute the fans. And it's something small, but I'm telling you that, I was an adult and I thought that that was really awesome. Just imagine where kids see that. And I if that's what the fans wanna do, for sure, I was chatting with some fans on X or Twitter today about it, and, like, they've said that it seems like the fans are just a little upset in general. They didn't do a parade, I guess, for MLS Cup, and it seemed like that was definitely something that was brought up with a couple of them. I have to assume it's true if they were saying that, but, like, they didn't do that. They didn't really haven't had any cool events with MLS Cup. Someone said that they had one guy show up at a Dick's Sporting Good and with it, and that was, like, all that they really knew about it. But, I think that these clubs that are really, really into the community and really embracing the fans are going to be, it's easier to get fans behind you, especially when you're not good. And I'm not saying Miami's not gonna not be good in 2 to 3 years because, they're probably gonna start planning for post Messi there. Your fans are going to be there longer than Lionel Messi is going to be there. And these are little things that they're gonna remember. And, we've talked a lot about culture, on our Atlanta United podcast and how you create a culture. And one of the things I think is super important, I think Atlanta United has at least done a pretty good job of, is embracing the fans. And the fans, like they have they had the golden spike of excellence. And like you see those guys, they look so sad. Like we just lost 3-0. And I'm man of the match and I did nothing, but I'm the man of the match. I gotta go hit the spike in here. But like, again, it's more taking pictures with the fans and all of that. And they don't skip it anytime. They did it every single time. And that's just again, it's something small, but like your fans are going to remember. If one kid gets an autograph with whatever player it is, and like I saw that they were signing some jerseys after the game as well in Miami, like you're going to gain fans from that. In MLS, where the league isn't the most popular sport, I think it's more important that you continue to reach out to fans. And I don't care that it's Messi, because that's what a lot of people have been saying. Well, Messi's the biggest, sports star in the world. I don't care who it is. Like that should make it even more important that he's out there helping promote the league that he's a partial owner in, right? Like that's where I'm like that's
Potentially,
where I'm
yeah.
sticking with it. So originally, to go back to where I started, like I thought it was an overreaction, but you know what? Like you pay your hard-earned money there, and I don't think they're trying to make it about them. I think they just want to be acknowledged, and I think all fans of any sport want to do that.
Yeah. But they have a right to make it about themselves too, right? Like even if that were the reason, um, it's not like they're coming out of left field, right? They have some pretty legit reasons why they're upset and why um they're upset that you're putting out young kids to go do media when you have the best player in the world and his cohorts right there. And so yeah, like when I was watching this whole thing, it did kind of rub me the wrong way that Messi was getting upset because I'm like, you kind of deserve it, honestly. And then he kind of like, he realizes kind of the adjusted wording, which I don't know really lands the best anyway, because it is still a very like egregiously, um, I don't want to say derogatory, but that's the word I use, song chant in South America. Um, but I think it did what it needed to do, and that it got his attention. It got all their attention. And then what Tommy, what you're talking about at the end of that game, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, but instead of doing the kind of walk around, which, like you said, it's not like that's like a special Miami thing. Every team does that in some shape or form usually. Um, but Messi kind of gestured for all of the teammates to not go do that and then go to the locker room, right?
I believe so.
I think so. Okay. Because I saw the video that I saw of that, I didn't get the full context. So again, if this gets fact checked, then I'm
I
wrong.
know
But
he
by
waved
all
at the
means,
fans. I just don't remember exactly like if went and did a lap with them or anything special like that.
yeah. I mean, you're there for the fans, and here's the thing: it may not mean much to Messi, but if I were the front office, I would be pushing this super hard because for every reason you just mentioned, Tommy, Um, Messi's not going to be there forever. And yeah, surely they're going to bring in some other superstar who's actually going to do the job that he is advertised to do, unlike some like Rodrigo de Paul, who hasn't really turned out to be what he was supposed to be, what he should be, and a few others, Bertarame. Um, and the fans are always going to be there. The fans are still going to be doing their job, showing up. And honestly, like, good for the fans for coming up with something interesting and making it obvious, right? Because you can be silent, that helps. You can boo. There are things that you can do, but to come out and get the whole group involved in a chant that like really grabs the players' attention because it's cultural and they are of that culture, they know it. Um, I think that's great. I think that's great because like you can't sit there and as the group of players that are kind of doing this, uh, have these kind of performances in your brand new stadium and then not be held accountable in some way, shape, or form. Again, not going and speaking to media after you lose to your rivals, first loss in your brand new stadium. Like that needs to be one of the veterans that comes out and says, like, yeah, we screwed up. We've got to do better. We have to fix this. Like, here are the things that we're gonna do, whatever, whatever. This is, I think, the fans' way of kind of making them be, like you said, acknowledged because it feels like they're just the players, most of the Messi and Co are just like, you know what, it is what it is. Like, we're here, we've been around the block, we can do what we want. And that's frustrating.
Yeah. Again, this is kind of situation where Messi is not just the best player, in the history of this game, but he's now also, he has a responsibility to Inter Miami fans and to the club. Obviously, when he retires, he will immediately, kind of like the David Beckham deal, become a part owner in Inter Miami. So even when he leaves, that's still his club. Uh, and of course, you know, I don't think he's tarnishing his legacy, but uh, at the same time, this is a project that you're sticking with for the long haul. You don't want to kind of sour your kind of the view of yourself within this community, because eventually, you know, when you are no longer on the field and people are not coming to watch you play, uh, you still want them to show up and you want them to care, and to kind of carry on that legacy. So yeah, it's time kind of for these players to realize, okay, yeah, we were all that at some point, and we have our fame, but at the same time, you know, this is something different. We owe a debt also to these fans because we do this for them as well. Um, but in the end, kind of a happy ending to this, as Inter Miami get their first win at new stadium, 2-0 over Portland Timbers. Uh, this could be a turning point for them because, again, at home, they hadn't won. Uh, they have one more game, and I believe it is Saturday against Philadelphia. I believe they host Philadelphia Union. Uh,
Good luck, Philly.
yeah, that is their final game before the World Cup break, which again will pause the league until mid July. I think just before or just after the World Cup semifinals. But that is a tournament that Messi and DePaul will be participating in for Argentina. Bertarame will be participating in for Mexico. Dane St. Clair for Canada. There's a few there that I might be missing. But I also just wanted to share kind of an interesting report that I saw that Messi and DePaul had been, for the past kind of month or 2 months, I think it was, they'd been kind of doing double practices each day to get in form for the World Cup and come in with the best form possible. And I think you're seeing that in Inter Miami's recent games, because my Messi, I think it's something like 9 goal contributions in their last like 3 or 4 games. That's just unnatural. And I think you've seen now kind of where that's coming from. There's a bit there where it's like, was he doing this necessarily for Inter Miami? Probably not. He's probably doing this for the World Cup, but it doesn't matter for Miami. You know, you're still performing anyways. You're giving the fans the best of yourself. So it's just a cool thing to see, and a cool thing that I thought I would bring up. Is there anything else we want to say about this before we move on, Tommy?
Yeah, did you see the save at the end of the game there off Messi? I think it was
Of the free kick?
the free kick.
Yeah.
Right, I mean, it was perfect. That was the most perfect shot, and it was an amazing save. I remember screaming at the TV when I saw it. I was like, "Oh, wow, like, that's fantastic." But what made it more, this is just an MLS, I'm on MLS Monday, I gotta bring up MLS, just frustrations here. I saw I saw that save on ESPN today. When was the last time you think you've seen anything of MLS on ESPN? I haven't seen it, and, like, I don't watch a ton of ESPN, but, like, I'll have it on in the background, but, Pat McAfee actually showed it, and,
If
you know,
anybody
I
was
mean,
gonna do it, it would be him.
yeah, I mean, he doesn't have much on there, but he was like, "You gotta see this. You gotta see this save," and he
Because
pulled
no
it
one
up,
saves
and
that.
what's
No
that?
one ever saves it when it goes there. Like that was like perfect top corner. When you watch the replay, it had the perfect dip to nestle into the top corner. Nobody reaches that, and he gets there. It's crazy.
Yeah, so that was, you know, so many people, like, when I talked to them about, like, oh, like, I was telling someone, in a work meeting, like, someone was like, "Oh, yeah, this guy loves soccer over here," and points to me, and then I tell him I do a podcast for MLS. He's like, "Oh, that thing's still on?" Like, just straight, like, and I stared
Wow.
at him, like, we stared at each other for about, it was about 3 seconds, but it felt like an hour, and I was like, "You screwing with me? Or are you serious?" Like, I couldn't tell if he was serious or not, but he was dead serious. He's like, "I haven't seen it on TV." He's like, "I have ESPN Plus. I used to see it on ESPN Plus all the time, have it on the background, or I would see it on TV at the bars." Guys, like, I'll say this all the time, and I haven't been on here for a while, and I'm sure you guys don't complain about it as much as I do, but I still say this to this day: is like, you want this sport to grow, you want this league to grow. You can't hide so many of these games behind Apple TV. Now, Apple TV for a fan is absolutely fantastic. When people complain about Apple TV, besides the replays, which the replays are horrendous, through every presentation of games that you watch, the the way that you just can't see it, like, if you're just channel surfing or you're out at the bar and, there's a game on, like, that game yesterday would be prime, absolutely prime. If Fox still had more rights to it, that game, Portland, Miami, on a Sunday, where there is not much going on at that time, because, like, it wrapped up right around when, the NBA Game 7 was on. That game would be on Fox. That game should be on Fox, promoting Messi in Miami. And then think about even more. Then you have this whole story too, with the fans not doing it. Like, that's even a more of a watch for people. And that's my problem right now here. Again, happy as a fan for it, unhappy as a guy that wants to see the league grow on a huge basis. Because, like, everyone said, the World Cup, the World Cup, the World Cup. Well, the World Cup's been a shit show so far. I mean, the games haven't even started. It's been a shit show. But I have seen zero, like, ways in how this is helping MLS. Have you?
No. I mean, I'm curious to see if there's anything that happens after the fact, but, I mean, that's we don't have a crystal ball, so, yeah, no,
But
I
you're
mean,
exhausted from the World Cup by the time it ends.
I know.
By the time the World Cup ends, like, I'm like, I need a cigarette and I need a break. I don't smoke, but I need a break for, like, a couple days. You know what I mean? But, like,
You get
and then
no
you just go,
break. MLS restarts, then you get All Star Game, then you get Leagues Cup. You
"Oh,
deal
the
with it, dog.
All-Star game's still a thing?"
Yes.
Ah!
But what you said, though, I mean, there's a decent amount of ownership in and around MLS that feels that same way, like, it's great from a fan perspective. I love it because I don't have to sit there and fiddle around trying to figure out what channel, what streaming app that, has the broadcast quality of a potato, like, I don't have to deal with all that crap. But I love this game, and I just wanna see it grow. I wanna see more kids talking about, this most recent whatever, Miami match or Atlanta match or New York City match, out on the soccer fields on the weekend and not just, "Oh, did you see what, Lamine Yamal did with Barcelona, or did you see, what's going on with Arsenal and Man City?" Like, they're great, that's great, like, you expect that, but man, I want this league to grow, and it's unfortunately kind of in that situation now where you're in a catch-22 because you made your core fan base happy, but you've also restricted it from actually being able to grow, and, um, I think a lot of folks in the actual league would prefer if there was some way to kind of essentially emulate what the NFL does, and, that's easier said than done, but I think there's definitely a piece of the pie there to be had if you can market it the right way.
Yeah,
Not to get off on a whole 'nother topic about, like, growing the league and all, but this is part of it.
absolutely. And again, Messi is going to be a phenomenal marketing tool for you. It has been since he joined. Having the Suns and the Muellers, those will always be an attractive factor that will cause people to you know consider buying the subscription. And I think the fact that they kind of separate kind of united it into the actual like Apple TV Plus subscription instead of having it be a separate thing, which that never made any sense to me at all.
Well, it's
And the
money,
fact,
money, and
well,
Henry, it's
yeah,
all
but
money.
that's stupid. And you can actually have access to Apple TV shows, and that's how you know you have Ted Lasso and stuff, and you can tie all that in. Formula One, that's excellent. For as you said, your current fans and maybe the fans that are interested in your sons and Muellers and Messi's, that might be an effective way to find revenue. But for your casual fans that are just kind of wanting to get into the game, and maybe you're reducing the chances of them finding it on accident, and maybe just kind of, oh hey, this is a thing going on, I'll stick around and watch, and maybe get interested in my local team or something like that. I don't know, it feels like there are decisions to be made about whether this is the best approach to it all or not. uh
Quick
there
question:
Yeah,
Is Sun still in the league?
he is.
Okay, just checking.
Wow.
Just checking.
I see Troll Tommy has arrived.
Well,
We'll
I'm
get to him in a sec. We'll get to him in a sec because that is
just
actually
just just asking for a friend.
one of the top. Son is still in the league. You know who's not in the league though? Henrik Rydstrom is no longer in the league. He was the coach of the Columbus Crew. Sunday, it was announced that the Crew would be parting ways with him after a 5-7-4 record in 16 games to start the 2026 season. The Crew were 13th in the East with 13 points. Not good for a team that in the Wilfred Nancy era, we were used to them being top of the East and competing and playing the best soccer in MLS. Former CF Montreal head coach and current, or former now, I guess, Crew assistant Laurent Courtois will be taking over in the interim. But gentlemen, there is one Wilfred Nancy that is still without a job. Do y'all think we will see him return to the Crew? Tommy's shaking his head no.
No, 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 no. I mean, we've talked about a lot, about former players going to teams and then coaches coming to teams. I mean, how has there been I can't think of anywhere a coach leaves and comes back in a couple months.
I don't know,
I
honestly.
mean, that would be wild. Like, that'd be absolutely wild. Like, yeah, I have, I have, dreams of going to Europe. Goes to Europe. It didn't work out great. So, what's up, guys? Ready
I
to
mean,
win MLS Cup? It's not going to happen, guys. There's no way. And I think I mean, they believe in making this change for the rest of the year and seeing how it goes. So I don't think there's any hurry for it, but oh god, someone's gonna hire him in MLS, but it's not gonna be the Crew.
yeah, I mean, I don't think I lean towards him not doing it, but at the same time, man, like there's two very, very distinct sides of the coin. Like I guess the people that want him back would argue legitimately that like you're not that far removed from having a life here. You can kind of just jump right back in. Not necessarily where you left off, but like, I mean, in this economy, I mean, your house might not even have sold yet. So, um, you can dive back in, and a lot of your staff is still there. A lot of your players are still there. Um, and I do got to give props to the Columbus front office for going ahead and pulling the trigger for sure. I actually think it was needed. But the other side of it is imagine a world where Nancy comes back and can't turn it around. And then you have that piggybacking off of everything that happened with Celtic. And now you're looking like now it's just putting a bit of a tarnish on how great of a coach he has been. So if I'm Wilfred Nancy, I'm just saying, hey man, that chapter is closed, at least like for the nearish future. Like if a few years from now, like it just worked out, the cards fell where you could possibly go back there, that's different. But I think coming back this quickly, I would say, man, let me see where else. Cause I mean, you have another spot that has just opened up. You're probably gonna have a spot in Philadelphia coming up soon, and a handful of other probably in Portland. There's a few seats that are incredibly hot that I might be holding out hope for.
Totally fair point there. I think it was Tom Bogert that kind of reported uh, some of this, and he even said, I think that uh, Columbus is kind of bullish on Laurent Courtois, that they really kind of believe in him and giving him a shot. Courtois, by the way, was the head coach of Crew 2 while Wilfred Nancy was in Columbus. So there's obviously some continuity there and an alignment of kind of their philosophies. So it could be a very good match. Uh, Courtois, his story with Montreal is a little bit complicated because again, it's Montreal, and
He got fired way too early.
yeah, Montreal has a penchant for making terrible decisions, so that was one of them. But yeah, I think it's an interesting second chapter for Laurent Courtois. He was also a finalist for the St. Louis job in the off season before they kind of made their decision. So obviously in demand and clearly has the ability to do the job. I guess we'll see though. Um, there was another coaching change though that happened this morning. In fact, a double change, and this time we're going to Austin FC. Great friends of Columbus, from my understanding. um, this morning, Austin FC announced it had fired sporting director Rodolfo Borrell and head coach Nico Estevez. Borrell joined in July 2023 after the team's best season in 2022, and he appointed Estevez in October 2024 after letting go Josh Wolf. Estevez ended with a 20-23-13 record, and Austin, ever since Borrell joined, a 27-45-26 record. Assistant coach Davy Arnaud takes over in the interim. Guys, this is kind of a hard reset for Austin. They're wiping the slate clean. Obviously, this Rodolfo Borrell era didn't yield the results that they were hoping for. Where do they go after this, right? Because you started with, you started with Claudio Reyna in that front office and built a very successful team managed by Josh Wolf. You kind of moved to this European model where Borrell has this experience from being under Pep Guardiola at Barcelona, at Man City, and that doesn't work. Do you go back to your roots? Would you kind of explore something else? Where do you go from here?
I'll say this really quick. I get so tired of coaches that feel like it's a good idea to come to a league that has a salary cap and all the things that MLS has and feel like they can play Man City soccer. The only one that's even come close to it is the aforementioned Wilfred Nancy. And I'm not trying to put Wilfred Nancy and Pep Guardiola in the same boat. Don't get me even in, like, don't take it out of context. But that style it had similarities, right? But in MLS, with what you have at your disposal, you have to play what works. And traditionally in MLS, at least in this version of MLS, since Atlanta came in the league, if you can develop a good disciplined counterattacking type of soccer, then you can get results and you can win silverware with it. Um, I mean, you go back and look at even now, like we talked about Miami and what Miami's trying to do. You're gonna have holes in your roster somewhere. So Austin, um, kind of just feels like if they actually feel to me with the roster they have, they've got some decent proper pieces. I think you could change around the model that they're using, the DP U22 model, whatever. Um, but this can't be a soft reset. You mentioned a hard reset. Like you're changing a lot and you've got to go in and you have to figure out an identity because when I watch Austin play, I don't really know what it is that they're wanting to do with the players that they have on the pitch. It just doesn't look natural. It doesn't look like they fit over the past few years. They've had one good season, and it was a great one. Their second season, I believe. Um, but besides that, like it's been a pretty rough existence for Austin, and that sucks because they're widely regarded as one of the better atmospheres in Major League Soccer. So I think if you whatever you do from here, you've got to get that sporting director or whoever coming in to say, "Hey, we're going to be pragmatic. We're going to figure out what we have, what we can do, because you are kind of hamstrung in what you can do, and we're going to go from there. We're going to hire the coach that's going to fit this whole system properly."
I love watching expansion teams, and this is going across specifically. The NHL has expanded a lot, and MLS has expanded a lot. Just seeing the early success of teams and then it go away, like it's very difficult to keep it going here. And that's you watch a lot of these MLS teams that come in, you're like, my God, St. Louis is going to be a problem. They're going to be a real problem, and then the Cinderella story goes away, and that's what's fun to watch is with these expansion teams is just like who can keep it going after that initial like, ooh, and like San Diego last year, I mean, absolutely. I mean, they started and it was like a surprise. We shouldn't be surprised anymore that these expansion teams do well. Like every time we come in, we're like, oh yeah, this team's gonna be terrible. Like they just made this team, it's not gonna work out. And then you look at it, and by the summer they're like at the top of the standings, and then it all goes down. Um, I just say it's interesting that all these moves are happening, now and not waiting for the World Cup break to happen. Like they're just let's get it done. Let's rip the Band-Aid off. And I Austin was 24th in the league and Columbus was 26 and 13 and 14 points that they have. Do
And
you think
Austin lost
there's
to SKC this weekend.
Mhm.
That's a low point. That's where you knew everyone had to go. He had to
Yeah,
blow it up. He lost to SKC.
Well, and the Crew, which I thought they looked pretty good in that game, blew a late, lead there. Is there more to happen? Like, we've got less than 6 days until the league's, or yeah, 6 days till it's wrapped up. Do we see anyone else on the way out?
Phil Neville.
One that we'll talk about right after this segment.
My bad. That was my bad. I'm
Sorry,
sorry.
I was leaning into it, but, like,
It's been whispering at me for a while.
it does seem, I've seen a certain other MLS podcaster complain that teams aren't making decisions fast enough when a team goes bad here. Well, that complaint really can't be here because I mean, it seems like there's a lot of teams that are moving quickly. And in our world of Atlanta, I mean, Tata just called himself out and was like, if I wasn't Tata Martino, I would be fired. And that's true. And like you look at last year's, some teams holding on to guys long, like Atlanta United held on for way too long with Ronnie Dyla when all the signs were there that that team was terrible and held through the entire year as well. Like a team needs to start their search right away. And I said this in the Atlanta phase, and I say this with any team that fires their coach early in the season. You can't go date. You can't start dating until you change your Facebook profile to single. Like that is really the easier. Like you can do it behind their backs, but when they find out, and trust me, that their friends will find out that you're cheating on Tinder or whatever it is. Like it is very important that you just make it out there that yes, we are open for business. We are looking for people. And the crew obviously have they have a hope that this is going to work out right now and this is their long-term fix. Cool. Austin, I mean, they're blowing it up here. And that is today at whatever time it was announced, noon. They've announced to the entire world, we are looking for two high people in our franchise. We need a sporting director, we need a coach. And now teams can be reaching out to that, or coaches and agents can be reaching out to them, start pushing their guys on them. And that's exactly what you need. So bravo to Austin for not waiting. Bravo to the crew when they just realized something's not working. But I specifically just like what Austin did because, yeah, you are looking for a change and looking at a change. And if you waited to the end of the year, because you're going into the warp season next year, which is already going to be, there's not enough time next year, guys, to build it all in the winter and then say, all right, we're going to start off the season in March or whatever it is, late February. And yeah, after 3 weeks, if things don't work out, we'll bring someone else in and see if we can recover. There is no recovering. If you want to succeed next season, you really, the team that wins, and it's going to be the complete opposite. I said this is like the teams that are established and have their players and know what they're going to do are very likely going to be the ones that are going to make the playoffs and have a run there. If a team has aspirations for next year, you need to be established. You have no time, excuse my language, Sydney, if you're listening, to fuck around and find out. You can't do that next season. You have to be established. So for Austin, again, they've got a long way to go here, but this is the right decision to do now because next year you're going to blink and we're going to be into the next season. And that's something I got to applaud for them. So I got to
Yeah,
run. But thank you for having me on MLS Monday. I appreciate it. I'm sorry for the one swear word, and I promise I will say my Hail Marys.
we
So you
made it to
guys,
9:45. We're good.
Thanks for coming through, man.
yeah, it was
Awesome
after. Yeah,
having you.
once you get to like 9:30, then you could say one swear word per Disney rules.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
I'll see you guys.
See
See
ya.
ya. Movie's still PG-13, fortunately,
Yeah,
under
it's
Disney
still there.
rules. Yeah, I mean, Austin, look, you fired Borrell, who was an ex-Man City guy. There's another Man City guy that's now available.
Yes, there is.
It's not going to happen, but one can dream. But yeah, as we kind of talked about, not a whole lot of flexibility for Austin in the short term because your 3 DP slots are filled. Your 3 U22 slots are also filled. But figure out your direction, figure out your identity, and then go from there. This season's probably a wash anyways, but you got the sprint season and then the calendar flip next year and time to figure some things out. LAFC's got to figure some things out. It was the skid continuing as Nashville SC, off a Hani Mukhtar hat trick, cruised to a 3-2 win over the LA side. Hani Mukhtar, by the way, with a massive night, reached 100 goals for Nashville, became the 8th player in MLS history to score 2 free kicks in the same match, and the 7th player in MLS history to score 5 hat tricks. Tyler, who is the hat trick leader in MLS?
Would that be Joseph Martinez?
That will be Joseph Martinez with 7 hat tricks. Thank you very much. Nashville, with this win, take the lead in the Supporters' Shield race after back-to-back wins against New England Revolution, 3-0 in midweek, and now against LAFC. They're also the only MLS team undefeated at home this season. They're 5-0-1 at Geodis Park. So they bounced back pretty quickly from their CONCACAF Champions Cup hangover. That hangover is still affecting LAFC. They have not won since bouncing out of CCC. In fact, they've lost all 3 games. Last weekend, 4-1 loss to Houston. Midweek, 2-1 loss to St. Louis. And now, 3-2 loss to Nashville. Son and Bouanga still cannot find that connection that they had last season that made them so electric, that thrust Bouanga into the Golden Boot race late into the season. And some things came to light in a press conference after this game. Denny Bouanga talked about how the way LAFC is playing now makes it harder for them to find that connection because he has to play. He says he has to play deeper on the wing, and Son is kind of playing higher as this number 9. And so it seems like, you know, you made this analogy before the season that Marc Dos Santos is getting a Ferrari, and all he has to do is drive the Ferrari and not get a scratch on it. Tyler, has Marc Dos Santos crashed the Ferrari?
He absolutely has crashed the Ferrari. 100%. I know you have another addition to that question, so I can answer that part too, but 100%. I mean, I'm not gonna say he has totaled the Ferrari. He hasn't, you know, hit the wall and bounced off.
But the bumper's falling off.
Yeah, man, the bumper's falling off, the tires are getting bald, and, there's a few dents and dings that need to be remedied by somebody who knows what they're doing.
So I'll ask the second part of this question. We're talking about Marc Dos Santos crashing this Ferrari. Uh, how hot is his seat? We had 2 coaching changes to talk about earlier in the show. We just talked about 2 coaching changes. Will Marc Dos Santos be the coaching change we talk about next week on MLS Monday on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being a Sam Sarver Modelo and number 10 being, I don't know, ouchie, ouchie, the wings that I ate a few weeks ago.
Agent Orange?
Yes.
I'm gonna give him a solid 9. And the only reason
okay.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I'm pissed, honestly, I'm pissed for LAFC. Going to the whole analogy I've been using all season. The only reason I didn't say a 10 is because you just hope that if LAFC's front office does not pull the trigger, that there is an Atlanta 2019-esque come to Jesus meeting with the players that say, hey, we got to go back to what was working. Because you just had to drive the Ferrari, dude. You didn't need to change anything. Stop trying to put your stamp on something that's working. Stop trying to fix something that's not broken. Just go. All you had to do was go out and say, hey, do this that we did last year, right? Like all the new players that you had to bring in, I'm taking them through all 34 games from last season, and I'm saying, hey, you replace that player, just do what he did. Like, it's not that hard. And I know this is taking it down to a very elementary level, and I know some of this is not really realistic, but what is realistic is you don't change up your attacking duo that immediately clicked. That's stupid. That is so stupid. So, yeah, the only reason I'm not saying a 10 is because maybe Denny Bouanga coming out and saying what he said, and to be fair to Denny Bouanga, not like he came out and said it like in a, screwed Marc Dos Santos kind of way. He was just like answering the question, but I think it was a very honest answer, and it revealed kind of what everybody's been asking. Why is this happening? There's your reason right there. You've changed up where your placement is for players when they're playing the game. And, we like to talk about formations and 4-3-3s and 4-2-3-1s and, 3-4-3, whatever. And yes, when the game starts, things kind of evolve and change. But as part of that formation, your players know what they do in the attack, what they do in transition, and what they do when you're defending. And that has to be locked in. And right now, Marc Dos Santos has essentially changed the almost like dual striker setup that was working for them at the end of last year. And it has broken the team because they love to defend and then hit on the counter very quickly. Well, when you're trying to hit on the counter very quickly, it is much more effective, math be mathin', that if you have 2 people to play the ball to up top and you can still defend well with that numerical disadvantage in the back, you're going to have a numerical advantage going forward in the counter. So he has taken that and broken it. So you just need to take it to the body shop and have it fixed back up the way that it needs to be and go on about your merry way and stay under the speed limit this time, or you need to go. And LAFC needs to use this summer transfer window and the World Cup and everything else to find a coach who's going to do what they need to do and not break the system.
I said it before the season started. Like, LAFC is not going to screw around with this. They are a club that is used to being at the top of the league, one of the top sides, and they have a roster that should be one of the most potent in MLS.
Yeah.
You have Son Heung-min, who is still has plenty of a few good years of soccer left. He came into this league and was on fire. You don't lose that in a span of 6 months. I'm
No.
sorry, you just don't. And so if something's going wrong and his form is dipped, that is something going on that you have to take a real close look at. You don't have Denny Bouanga and Son going from hero to zero in that span of time, just like that. Those players did not get worse. I think the fact that you decided to start kind of modifying with the Ferrari and screwing with it, I think that you messed up, and they're not going to have the patience for that, because you have a second half of the season where, sure, you have a DP slot and you can bring in a reinforcement and kind of solidify this roster, but it's not going to matter if the key pieces that you have right now are not being deployed the right way and they're not clicking. Like, you need to change the brains of the operation to give you a better chance of hitting hard in the second half of the season. And there's plenty of time to do so because of the way that this league is structured, because of this World Cup break. You have a couple months of a break between after this weekend to mid-July, when the World Cup break, or when MLS restarts. You have plenty of time to find your guy and make a real good search, just like Columbus and Austin are about to do. Find someone who's going to really align with the identity that you had before, that is not going to force these players into roles where they're uncomfortable or where they aren't at their best. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. Okay? It's already there. You just need to find the right way to roll it. You're rolling it the wrong way. You're rolling it like this. You need to make it go like that. We're using all the analogies here because it seems ridiculous, but you don't mess this up. And you brought the 2019 Atlanta analogy, and I'll say this: Frank De Boer was never the right coach for Atlanta United.
Nope.
I think right now is showing that Marc Dos Santos was never the right coach for LAFC. It was a quote-unquote easy hire for them because he was an internal guy. It's kind of the easy hire for you. But you could have done better. And you should have done better, considering the investment that you make, considering the quality of players on your roster. Like, you have the ability to go and get yourself a better manager. Because Marc Dos Santos has failed at other stops. You should have seen this coming. So we'll see. You're at a CCC. You don't have that to play for. You have Leagues Cup. I believe they're in Leagues Cup. So there's that after the summer, and then the rest of the MLS season. But you got to get your stuff together, man, and make the most of this summer break to come back strong. Son is going off to the World Cup, so hopefully he'll come back kind of with a different state of mind, renewed maybe after changing environment for a little bit, playing with his national team in the biggest tournament in the world. But yeah, figure yourself out, man.
Yeah.
This is pathetic.
And I'll throw this out there too, because I said this going back to all the analogies, but like the one thing I said about Marc Dos Santos and that hire, or whatever you want to call it, I don't know that it was a hire. You've got a guy who he was the safe bet for the exact reason that he at least knew what the inside of the Ferrari looked like. I mean, he might not have sat in the driver's seat and actually drove it, but he probably sat there and admired it for a little bit. And then he went and, realized that you can't put the pedal to the metal and drive out of the parking lot or you're going to hit something. And he just did. I don't think he quite understood what he had to the degree that he had it. And so now you have to make that decision because it was a safe bet, like you said. He knows the system. He knows the players. He knew everything about it. He'd been there, right? But it gave you the leeway to say, all right, if in the first few months of the season, and we said this like literally day one of MLS Monday this year, if you make it to this point and it's not going the way that it needs to for LAFC, you need to move on. And we are at that point now. And I think LAFC needs to move on because for every reason you just mentioned, I mean, LAFC, it's like we say about Atlanta. The league is better when LAFC is good. The league is better when Miami is good, when Atlanta is good. I think I would argue when New York City, both New Yorks are good, which hasn't happened a lot recently, to be fair. um, you don't want LAFC to fall off. They don't want to fall off. Their front office, I love their front office and how ambitious they are. I'm not saying you need to go bring in a super famous big name, but you need to do your due diligence and you need to get that person in here by the end of the World Cup break. I really do feel that way. And I will say the same thing about the other teams, Austin, Columbus. I think Portland needs to move on from their coach as well. This is that opportunity because like Tommy said earlier, you're going into a period where you don't have a long off season to try to figure it out. And for a lot of these teams, this season is still absolutely salvageable. This is not anywhere near a failure for LAFC yet. It is a failure for Marcos Santos. So go look, start that process now.
Absolutely. We have Open Cup and matches to watch coming up. But first, scarvesandspikes.com is where you get all your Atlanta United news, analysis, opinion, all sorts of content there. So check it out. We have obviously our YouTube, which is where you're watching this. We have our shows twice a week. MLS Monday is what you're watching right now. Wednesdays at 7. Those are our main shows where we talk about Atlanta United. And then tomorrow we have an Atlanta United game to talk about, which we'll get into in a bit. So be sure to follow all of our social channels, our YouTube, to stay up to date with all the latest on Atlanta United. The World Cup, which will be here in Atlanta with 8 awesome, fun games. Be sure to check us out for all of that information. I was blanking because I was trying to come up with the URL for the World Cup page. It's
Atlanta2026worldcup.com.
There you go. Go there for all the information pertaining to the World Cup in Atlanta, to plan your trip here to Atlanta if you're visiting for the World Cup. The city is already, getting ready. I saw that they were bringing in the new MARTA trains, that they're rolling those out.
Yeah.
That all the little signs are going up around downtown. That the logos and stuff are being covered on Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Sorry, Atlanta Stadium now.
Yeah.
But yeah, all that fun stuff. The World Cup trophy was literally in Atlanta this past week, which was fun. Shout out to Carlos Puyol, who was kind of part of that experience. So yeah, it's World Cup time, and that kicks off in a little under a month. So be sure to follow Atlanta 2026 World Cup for all the news on that. And also, we're getting closer and closer to finding out more on Atlanta's NWSL team. So you want to follow us for all the info on that. We'll keep you updated with stuff from the training ground that is going up very close to Atlanta's training ground. The new branding and stuff, which will be released soon. I believe in the fall is when that's going to be coming out. So yeah, just follow our social channels for all the updates on that. Am I missing anything? Patreon. How could I forget Patreon? If you want to support our work, independent journalism, which is always awesome, be sure to support us on Patreon. Starting at $5 a month, you get access to exclusive content, our Patreon mailbags, our unfiltered series, our training ground reports, all sorts of exclusive content. Be sure to join Patreon. You get access also to our awesome Discord. We have an amazing community of soccer lovers, of fans. We're always in there chatting it up, answering your questions about literally anything Atlanta United related or not. This guy posts cooking tips in there, so that's fun. I get to see food that looks amazing, so that's fun. But yeah, join us. It'll be awesome having you there. Am I missing anything else?
No, I think you hit it.
All right.
That was good.
Let's go to Open Cup. Our Open Cup quarterfinals are here. They kick off tomorrow with 2 games. Orlando hosts Atlanta United at 7:30 p.m. That is a game that we will be covering, obviously, with our usual match day content. So follow www.scarvesandspikes.com for that stuff and our social channels. Will we be doing a watch along?
I believe so.
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and just say it. I mean, why wouldn't we?
We'll be doing a watch along, guys. So join us for that, obviously. Later that night, well, literally 30 minutes later, 8 p.m., St. Louis City versus Houston Dynamo kicks off in what is kind of one of the other sides of the quarterfinal. And then Wednesday, the other two quarterfinals, Columbus Crew hosting NYCFC at 7:30 p.m. And then Colorado Rapids host the San Jose Earthquakes at 10 p.m. Tyler, the semifinal round isn't until September. Which teams will we see progressing to that round?
I think, I mean, I'm going to say Atlanta. I have to say Atlanta.
Okay.
This is your shot at a trophy, but all right, I'll say Atlanta. And I'm going to actually go with St. Louis. And I know that might be a hot take. I think St. Louis has something that they haven't fully unlocked yet, but they're starting to see it and they're starting to kind of get it in league play. Maybe not. I mean, look, they're not great right now, but they've had a decent run. Decent. It's got to be New York City and San Jose on the other side. To me, the Western, no, it's not Western Conference. I say that because there's a lot of Western teams there. But that Wednesday slate of games, to me, that one's a little more clear cut than the Tuesday.
Sure. Match. Yeah. For me, God, that Orlando Atlanta game is going to be weird because those two teams literally played each other 3 days ago.
Yeah.
And both rolled out full strength lineups for that game. So I'm curious to what extent exhaustion will play a part. I know Orlando had also been playing. They played midweek last week, and so they've been playing quite a lot. They've had a bit of a pile up. So we'll see what happens in this game. Sure, why not? I'll say Atlanta goes through, even if it's on penalties for some reason. St. Louis, Houston, for me, Houston's a favorite there. I just feel like they're more in form. I think Guillaume has been phenomenal in MLS so far. He's been on fire. Matty Bogus as well. They just have a really good thing going on. And I think they have they figured things out a little bit more than St. Louis, in my opinion. And so I think they'll just edge it out. The Wednesday games, this San Jose for me is kind of the obvious one going through in that Colorado San Jose match, the late match. Columbus NYCFC, you would think NYCFC is the clear favorites, but there is a thing known as the new manager bounce, and Columbus gets that in this game. Laurent Courtois, this is a managerial debut with Columbus. And NYCFC, the other thing you have to consider is they've lost Maxi Morales to injury in the Hudson River Derby, and he is an important player for this team. He is a huge chance creator, even at 39. This dude is a elite chance creator in MLS, and I think NYCFC are going to really feel that absence. So I think this is something where that aligns perfectly with Columbus getting kind of this new manager bounce. And I think that is enough to kind of push Columbus over NYCFC in this game. So I'm gonna go Columbus on that one. So I disagree with you on two of these games, but other than that, I do think it is fairly straightforward. And this is the business end of the tournament, man. It's where it starts getting real. The semifinal round after this, the dust settles here and you have the final four. You kind of got to go pedal to the metal, all four teams, because a trophy and a CCC spot are well within your grasp. So we'll see, man. I really hope Atlanta prioritizes it personally, as
I think they
someone
will.
that covers this team and knowing the season that they're in right now. But yeah, and also because it's a rivalry game, it just means more. You know what I'm saying?
And it's worth noting too that for all the reasons that we've mentioned here in the show with, coaching changes and everything else, the semifinal round of the Open Cup, you're going to have 4 totally different teams by the time that gets here. And it could be, an Atlanta or a St. Louis or a Columbus that have found their form, or it could be that these teams that you kind of expect to win, they win, and who knows what happens during that World Cup break. I've said it for the entire season, but I really do think that my bad, um, that the conferences, the way that they're shaped right now, after the World Cup break, they're going to look totally different once the season really starts back up. So just because somebody's the favorite right now, or just because somebody is the underdog right now, doesn't mean that's what they look like come September. So that's going to be super intriguing. And if you're any of these teams, this almost has to feel like a final because it buys you a lot of time to fine tune and tweak and do whatever else you need to do to your team to get ready for essentially a 2-match tournament to win a trophy.
Yeah. By the
So,
time this picks up, the summer window will have closed, and so
yep.
any new additions will have been fully integrated. Orlando has a really big one coming in Antoine Griezmann. So that's definitely like if you survive until September, like again, as you said, these teams could look very, very different. So yeah, we'll wait and see. But first comes the quarterfinals. These teams have to survive this game before we go on to September. Final thoughts on Open Cup before we move into matches to watch.
Go watch it because they're always entertaining. You'll have fun, I promise.
All games will be streaming on Paramount Plus. And again, be sure to come back to us tomorrow for our watch along. Let's get to matches to watch, the unsponsored matches to watch. You can sponsor them if you would like, and then we'll say the name of your business or whatever on the stream, and we'll promo you and say you're the best thing in the world, and we love you.
We'll make it happen. Whatever you want us to say.
We'll make a nice, fancy little graphic. I'll make one because he doesn't have Photoshop, but I'll make one.
Yeah.
But yeah. Matches to watch. Tyler, what do you got?
I've gone back and forth. I have a drunk one for sure. But I think I'm gonna go with Portland, San Jose.
Interesting.
9:30 Saturday.
Is that drunk or is that real?
No, that is real. That is
okay.
real. Because I feel like Portland again has a coach, Phil Neville, that is on the hot seat. I feel like he should be on the hot seat anyway. San Jose has been just dominant all year. And so I'm curious to see if this could be the game that either Phil saves his bacon, still don't know that it's enough, or if San Jose rolls them like they've more or less been rolling everybody else and causes what might be the final coaching change before the World Cup break. I don't know. But I do think it'll be a good game overall because it not that it's a full-on rivalry, right? But it's two very much, coastal West Coast teams that just they've had a lot of craziness over the years when they play. So it's more than just an on paper, but I feel like the eye test tells me that if that team wants to show out for Phil Neville to try to right the wrongs that have happened to him so far, I say to him, you're going to see a different side of Portland because I still contend that they are a better team than they're showing under Phil Neville. The talent's there. I just think his coaching just hasn't been it. So, and meanwhile, San Jose is doing everything right since they have brought in a guy who knows the league literally from its infancy. So it'll be a fun one.
Can I guess a drunk uncle game?
Yeah.
LA Galaxy Houston.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean that's a solid choice because honestly, I don't know who would win in that scrap. For me, it's going to be Nashville SC versus New York City FC, just because these are two informed sides. Nashville obviously topping the East. NYCFC, they have this Open Cup game in midweek, but they are also still one of the stronger sides, even without Maxi Morales. Nico Fernandez-Mercado has been absolutely a banger of a signing for them. He's been kind of the Swiss Army knife as far as he can create chances and also go up and finish them. And so he's been doing a lot of the heavy lifting for this NYCFC side in 2026. And he's going to have to do a lot more. More of that responsibility is going to be on him with Maxi out. He's kind of replacing now the chance creator and the chance finisher, because he was replacing Alonso Martinez. Now he's also replacing Maxi Morales. So I'm interested to see kind of how that dynamic will go. But I do think that is my personal match to watch for this weekend. Tyler, final thoughts before we get out of here.
It just feels weird, right? Because we are moments away from the World Cup, and I really do feel like what you see right now in terms of the Supporter Shield standings and both conferences and everything else, I do think it's going to be drastically different come the end of the season. So any of these teams, I feel like this final match day before this break, though, you're probably going to see a little bit more spiciness. So if you don't normally pay attention to a lot of the MLS games, if you just have that one team that you're locked into, I think this would probably be one of the best match days to just try to, keep an eye on a handful, because you're going to have the rotation caused by a few of these teams being in the Open Cup, and then you're going to have just that desire to get the, just 3 more points before we go on break. And so I think you're going to see a little bit of a different dynamic from some teams, and probably some surprises. So definitely keep an eye this weekend.
All right. Again, one final weekend before we take a break for the World Cup, which will be epic and totally not a disaster. Be sure to follow us on our social media channels, at Scarves N Spikes on Twitter, at Scarves and Spikes. Blue Sky. Is that what it is? On Blue Sky.
ScarvesandSpikes.com on Blue Sky.
There you go. Scarves and Spikes on Instagram, on TikTok, where we're also definitely super trending and stuff like that. We're hip with the kids nowadays.
As they say.
Yeah. Be sure to follow us on all our channels and support us that way, doing all the algorithm things like the likes and the comments and the cool things like that, and following and smashing the bell and all the other things. Tyler, where can people find you on social media? You hit them.
Huh? Oh, I'm just now finding out it is the music. It is the music that causes that little mute. Anyway, you were asked where I'm at. I'm at ATL Pilgrim.
We're just vibing with the music. All right. I'm at HA Higita on Twitter and Blue Sky. I'm on at HA. The music threw me off. Screw you.
I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to cut you off.
Higita on Instagram. That is it. We are landing the plane, even if we're crashing the Ferrari. See y'all next time.
Peace. Just straight up cold close this one out. Thank you all to the patrons, all of you. And if you're not already, patreon.com/ScarvesandSpikes. Stoppage time.
Is this stop it? We're not playing the credits.
Again, the landing gear didn't fully come down. So I'm having technical difficulties over here.
Jeez, man, what are we doing? We spent half an hour talking about a coach crashing a Ferrari and we can't land a plane.
Well, I mean, to be fair, one of those things is not like the other.
You're right. One is a soccer team. The other is a podcast that we've been doing for how long now?
Which one's the plane, though? All you had to do was go not break anything. All right?
Sydney leaves for one day, and this is a disaster already.
That's how we roll. That's how we roll.
Oh, man. What are we talking about for stoppage time? How bad we are at planes and trains?
Yeah, and automobiles. All right, peace, y'all. Screw it.
Let's just, get out.